In a major breakthrough after 2 years, Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire plan. There was much celebration in Gaza.
A country that is exercising the strategic autonomy needs to have some kind of leverage. It needs to have economic heft. It needs to, it needs to have a geographical location. It needs to have so many things. And at this point, India does not seem to have the kind of leverage that it needs to actually get its own way in the world. Mr. Jaishankar recently had a meeting with representatives of countries from the global south. With what phase are we now, herding the global south together when on resolution after resolution in the United Nations on Gaza, we really did not live up to our own positions on Gaza or on Palestine, right? That we stand with the Palestinian people for statehood and so on. We could not even agree with the rest of the world that this place needs a ceasefire.
About 23 kids died by consuming this cough syrup. There was something in this that caused kidney failure or some organ failure. But this is not the first time it's happened. You have written about it in the past. This is a frequent recurring occurrence.
The first such tragedy we saw back in 1937 in the US, where 100 people died. After that, the US has not seen another tragedy like this.
Okay.
But these tragedies keep happening in developing countries. A lot of funding from pharma companies. And I'm sure at the state level, a lot of them have stakes in pharma companies, especially the SME sector, the small and medium enterprises sector. So there's a lot of money over there. Breaking that equation is
tough one.
Is going to be very, very difficult.
I mean, every few days we hear about how government hospitals are running out of medicines. You go there, I mean, I can tell you from my experience of being a Fauji's kid. You go to Lodi Estate, the line for all retired Faujis to get their medicines. Those medicines are never available, but you can buy them in the black market. And we keep saying, we really respect our soldiers, respect us.
Welcome to Chhota Hafta. Now, Chhota Hafta is but a small, chhota version of a complete weekly podcast, Newslaundry Hafta. The Newslaundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to Newslaundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now, what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the Newslaundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to Newslaundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of News Laundry Hafta. But before we get into the hafta, I would like to thank everybody who participated in the Media Rumble Bangalore. It was a wonderful success, a wonderful experience, and we have a panelist from there who's also a panelist on Hafta today. Nirupama, thank you so much for coming all the way to Bangalore.
Thank you for having me there.
Yes, and we got very good feedback from your session. So this was our annual event, which usually is in Delhi, but this time it was in Bangalore. And it was so wonderful that we're actually considering coming back to Bangalore next year again. Here are a few snippets from this year's Media Rumble, which was only for subscribers. And so many subscribers registered that we could not actually sell tickets to non-subscribers, which we usually do. We keep out 20-25% tickets for non-subscribers, but this time subscribers only had registered and completely, filled up the place. So here is what you missed if you're not a subscriber. Right, now back to life, back to reality, back to Delhi, and back to Hafta. In the studio, as you can see, Manisha is not here. She is out of town, traveling. In the studio, Raman Kirpal, welcome, sir. Anand Vardhan, welcome, Anand. Now, while you guys made a successful media number happen, I also have a request. Please make a robust and successful Bihar election coverage happen. Here's a QR code. We have a new Sena for the Bihar election. We'll be sending, Atul will be going there, Basant will be going there. I don't think the production team has decided who will be going there yet. And also part of our team, this time will be Srinivasan Jain, who will also be reporting out of Bihar. And I'm hoping to get a lot of pieces on his home state from Anand Vardhan. Will I?
Yes.
Yes. So Anand will give you the analysis, the critical historical analysis, while this team will give you the ground reportage, interviews and coverage. So look forward to our Bihar coverage. QR code is here. Link is in the show notes. We do not take any advertising from anyone. And there's a lot of, I guess, churn happening in the geopolitical, equations in our region.
Yeah.
There is the China-India relationship, which is complicated. Recently, there was some noise. Again, you never know how much of it is noise, how much it is credible at all. That Pakistan had kind of agreed to give US presence on its soil, military, but again, no clarity on that, after the very cozy meeting between the US and Pakistan leaders. So can you give us an overview of how this churn may play out? Because Trump is very unpredictable.
This whole thing about strategic autonomy that India has cited very often in the last 4 or 5 days to justify its balancing act in various issues. Of course, the Russia-Ukraine war and also the Israeli war on Gaza and on many other issues. Its own participation in BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, while even when its relations with the Biden administration were just humming along, they had reached new heights at that time, or that's what we were told. So, for all this, it talked a lot about strategic autonomy. But what has come to the fore now is that there are limits to the strategic autonomy. That is, at some points, strategic autonomy, it seems, has just become a photo opportunity. But what can India offer to the world? That if it stops today, the world just decides, okay, we're all listening to you and we are willing to make you concessions. I don't think we've come to that stage yet. What has happened, though, is in this great churn, we've seen, and especially after Operation Sindoor, we've seen a complete change in the strategic dynamic of South Asia, where you have Pakistan, which rushed to endorse President Donald Trump's claim that he had mediated the ceasefire, is now the chosen one in the subcontinent or in South Asia for the US, and India finds itself in the doghouse. So you can see how this is played out in the last few days after Trump rushed through this Gaza ceasefire, hoping that he can actually have it in place today, because today, as we are recording this program, which is the 10th of October, Friday, the Nobel Peace Prize is going to be announced. And I don't know if that was a deadline linked to, but there's been a lot of pressure.
I mean, I will say that some of the primetime channels, usually they would completely ignore this. they did kind of discuss this. However, there were a couple who thought it would be more appropriate to discuss why Deepika Padukone wore a hijab in a Qatar Airways ad or some ad. She wore a hijab in Abu Dhabi ad. And yet another was discussing some menu which has gone viral of some mess. I don't know. I mean, if this doesn't make heads roll time and again, it's tragic. So Prashant, give us the context of this. What we know from what a regular casual consumer of news knows is about 23 kids died by consuming this cough syrup. There was something in this that caused kidney failure or some organ failure. But this is not the first time it's happened. You have written about it in the past. This is a frequent recurring occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, so this is, I think, the 9th such tragedy that we have seen in India. We've seen because of an Indian medicine since 1972. And it's basically the problem is in these cough syrups, they use propylene glycol, which is an industrial solvent, to dissolve the medicine into a syrup, into a sweet syrup form, because that's easier to administer on children. Now, propylene glycol, when pharma companies buy it from chemical traders, they're supposed to buy pharmaceutical grade propylene glycol, and then they are supposed to test it for contamination of diethylene glycol. So diethylene glycol is basically, it's a fluid used in brake fluid as an antifreeze agent, etc. It is deadly for human consumption, especially for children.
So there's a closeness between the industrial use as far as motor vehicles are concerned and consumable is concerned.
Yeah, because it's all coming from the same chemical plant. So there will be some contamination.
Right.
CAG, in its previous report, has pointed out, in case of Tamil Nadu, they have pointed out that 60% of the inspections, only 60% inspections were carried out. 40% inspections were not carried out.
Only.
It didn't happen. And 49% of the samples were picked up. 51 were not picked up. So this is something which CAG had reported a year ago, about Tamil Nadu state. So clearly, I think the laws are there. I think Prashant knows it better.
The laws are inadequate.
The regulatory framework is also inadequate.
Changes where Dinesh had met on joint secretary in the health ministry in charge of all of this in the drug regulation section, who appeared, he was taking some steps, and perhaps because he took those steps in his last year of service, they shunted him to the National Commission for Women. And that kind of transfer remains in the memory of the bureaucracy, right? So the next guy who comes is going to be careful on what he's going to do.
So he'd rather clap when ministers pose with Ramdev while he cures AIDS, COVID, homosexuality, everything.
So look what happened, right? In December 2022, where India's reputation is reeling from these deaths that are happening in Gambia and Uzbekistan, the government has the audacity.
Bas, muft mein itna ich milega. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the Newslaundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that Newslaundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to Newslaundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.